Never fear, the Black Belt Bots are here, presenting another epic experience with your host, RJ Redden.
Hello, greetings, grasshoppers. It is your RJ. Welcome to the show today. Oh, I hope you are ready to pick up your walking stick, put on your backpack, and enjoy another epic engagement adventure with us today because I have the most fabulous guests. I mean, I always only have fabulous guests, but today you are going to get a whole treat going on because I have the Sheila T coming to see us, and she is going to share all about coaching and fabulousness and great big secrets that only she knows. And I can't wait. I met Sheila many moons ago. It seems like about 1,000 years ago, but it was just pre-pandemic, and when I met her, we just really clicked, and we have stayed in touch for many moons. Hopefully we'll see her at a live event somewhere near Phoenix, Arizona. Anyway, without further ado, let us bring up the Sheila T. Hello, Sheila.
Hello. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you because you're fabulous. And tell us who you are, what you do. Give me the basics.
Right. So I am Sheila T, strategic entrepreneur, business coach, and consultant. It's kind of a mouthful. What does that mean? I really help new and emerging entrepreneurs grow their business. So I've created lots of successful businesses and a few failures along the way, which is mastering the art of success, failure, and turnarounds. So for over 20 years, my focus has really been in that organizational consulting, as well as working with organizations to fulfill their profits through people. That's important because that's really what I do here. So my experience in business ownership, as well as business development and marketing and being a general manager and all those other things really help guide others to surpass their goals. So entrepreneurs generally will hire me to stop the money drain, and master the money gain, because most are making some money but seeing no profits, or they're doing the wrong actions in the wrong order. And I really help them gain that clarity and focus to simplify their numbers, really mastering their revenue model so they can have more money in their pockets, which I don't know anyone that doesn't want that.
That is fascinating to me. We've had this conversation. I run screaming from numbers. I just do. I'm an artist. Do you want me to future? Okay. Do you want me to build you a fabulous spot? I'm in. Do you want me to look at rows and columns and try to make sense of that and like add up and get the same number every time? I'm sorry. I am not eligible for that kind of action.
Right.
And so, first of all, what made you decide that this was the road for you?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think I've probably been a serial entrepreneur. I keep saying since, like early 20s, probably more like since 5, as I think back. so I think that I often say we like to live by the wits of our pants. We're risk takers, and that's true. But I dabbled a lot along the way and decided in 2007 to jump off the cliff and really, really go full on. When I say jump off the cliff, no net, full on, no job, no money, start that business, go for it. Not just one, but several at the same time, which I don't recommend. And, not only did I learn so many lessons in that midst, it was buying a franchise, it was a partnership, it was an LLC, it was a corporation. There were a lot of different facets to those businesses. And I found that the resources that even still we have today are not, they are not, I'll say, in real time. These are not other entrepreneurs that are doing it. These are sometimes retired executives from corporate America, certainly have a lot of value. I've been in corporate America, a lot of value, but when you don't walk in those entrepreneur shoes, you do not know. There's a very big difference when it's your own money as opposed to somebody else's. And you are so right that no one, very few, really want to look at the numbers. We don't start our gig and go, well, what's my profitable business model? Like, how many of these should I do? And how much is it going to cost me? And I better put that down on paper. Says no one ever, because that's not exciting. I mean, right? That's not how we start this thing. So not only all those experiences, but I thought, gosh, if I can put together my real life lessons, like I'm in the trenches, I'm doing it, with others, and help entrepreneurs really jump, I call it jumping the pitfalls, the really big ones. So they're not losing homes or retirement or, large sums of money, which often happens with entrepreneurs. They lose everything because they've put everything in, because they just don't have some of those resources that are so important. Because again, most of us aren't going into business for the numbers. We're going into business to create bots and to do fabulous things, or create art or massage or facials or air conditioning, and we're not thinking about those other things. So, so the business has morphed over the years from me being that serial entrepreneur to teaching others how to avoid the biggest mistakes. Anyway,
Whew.
that was a mouthful, I know.
It's a mouthful, but like it's so different than so many other coaches. They only want to show you the pretty side of everything.
Yeah.
There is no human element. There is no element of vulnerability. There is no, I screwed up this week. Would you like to benefit from my experience? There's none of that, because nobody wants to look bad.
That is
And
so true.
well, yeah, talk to me about what made you go, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and be vulnerable here.
Well, and you and I kind of talked about this, because and this is really important for I think for any entrepreneur, but certainly your audience that's listening. There's so much out there. We were talking earlier about TikTok and how I'm not even on that. I mean, there's so much out there, and we generally see the pretty side to everything: people's lives, people's business, everything's so shiny, beautiful, amazing, and I'm making $1 gazillion in 30 seconds, and most of that, unfortunately, isn't true. That's not, they might be making that now, but nothing happened overnight. And so part of that answer is that I'm a little bit of your tough love, hit you between the eyes to a degree, because I'm pretty forward anyway. Usually, with I got I coat it with a little bit of sugar, but I really want it to be for the benefit of whomever I'm coaching. My clients, I don't want to sugarcoat things so that doesn't help them. So I think part of it is just who I am. I'm a little hit you between the eyes in almost everything. But the frustration of watching, and over the last few years, have been fascinating. And I have to tell you that I think I did a podcast on this. It's hard not to kind of jump on that wagon. It's hard not to see all these other successes and people saying, well, I did this funnel and I made $10,000 overnight, or whatever that happens to be. And when you are in a place of growing your business, or maybe just starting your business, or maybe your business is in the downside of that roller coaster, it's really enticing to want to follow that track. And I'm telling you right now, that 99% of the time is not true. And when we kind of put on that logical hat to say, okay, if that were real, not only would everybody be doing it and you wouldn't have to have much of a brain to do it, then we'd all be, having a lot more money than what we're having. So part of that is my passion for real, and getting you real movement, real profit, real money, real sustainability to your business, so that you can be successful as an entrepreneur. And frankly, the other side, sometimes I'm coaching people that this isn't for you. There is, I know those of you listening, I know RJ, you and I talked about this too. Not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. This is hard work. Don't listen to everyone. Just throw your sign up. It's really easy. It's not just hard work, but it requires, when we talk about risk taking, it requires you to have really thick skin and be able to wherewithal the ups and downs and turns and twists, and 5 steps back and 1 step forward, and then 55 steps back and 2 steps forward, and really have that fortitude to be in business and stay, because it takes time for that success. Absolutely, that success is there. It's most of the reason why we all do it, but it does take time. This isn't a 6 months and I'm going to make $1 million and then, sell it. That Rarely. That is a rarity. That does not really happen. So I really get passionate about helping people be successful in a very realistic way. And I think that's just part of a bit of who I am. If my clients are listening, they're like, yeah, she'll give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get it straight if you know if you work with Sheila T. That is what I know. Yeah, there's so much, there's so much trickery and flim flam and snake oil out there.
Yeah.
That it's difficult for people to see, particularly when their emotions get involved.
Yeah.
And our emotions always get involved because my business is my baby.
Mm-hmm.
You come from my business, you have come for me. And that's never a good idea.
Yeah.
So how do you, I know you've had a lot of experience with your clients. By the way, if you want to get a hold of Sheila T, we got banners going on underneath here that will hook you up with free trainings that she does, some free resources. So fully take advantage of all of those things, please. You will thank me later. So when people are in their emotions about their business, how have you handled that in the past? Give me a story where you had a really great client win.
So there's so many that come to mind, but you are right. And the one that's coming to mind, it is an emotional process. And while I work with both men and women, the majority of my clients are women, and we can tend to be maybe more emotional. But to your point, we're emotional about our business. It is that sort of, whether we call it our baby or our life, or maybe you're a control freak like some of us in the room, me. And we really want to have control over that. That to me is what, one, I wish I would have had way back when. And two, this is where I call it the tough love. I know it's a bit cliche, but it is okay. It's really pointing out with another lens. As a coach, I'm not emotionally invested in the business where they are, and I can help them recognize that it's okay to be. That's a component of a successful business, not to be overly emotional, but emotionally connected in a healthy way. And so, we do get tears and frustration and issues and fear, all combined create that big emotional piece. So, depending on the situation, we're unpacking that one thing at a time. And the client that I'm thinking of, and she's still a client of mine, I adore her. This is an individual that had her own business kind of as a contractor under another umbrella, but truly a contractor. And that decision, even though you're entrepreneurial and you're doing your own thing, that decision to really jump off that cliff and go out on your own is scary, like truly on your own. And a lot of my clients are in that kind of situation. And so this was really fearful for her. And she had some really toxic people around her, not making that easy at all. In fact, incredibly difficult, and all kinds of components came into that particular part of her journey, including legal. And so keeping sort of the lens and having that coach, which in this case, from my side to her, and giving her the truth. It feels like this, but the truth is this. And when you can separate these two, and at the same time, we're creating the pathway to do that from now I don't do legal advice, I don't do CPA, but we have resources for those who are making sure we have those pieces, creating a sustainable, successful model right out of the gate so that she knows she can be successful when she does pull that plug, because all this other chaos is going over here. So, my role is really the logical pieces, the sustainable pieces, the financial pieces from it. When I say financial, I mean numbers from a sustainable business model. What does that look like, and how do we make that happen? So all of those underpinnings are what we're doing, and then we're kind of managing the emotional pieces that arise. So I often will get the 911 calls, right? The walk me off the ledge, I don't want to do this, and that happens, right? I don't. Oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? And so sometimes now, not in this case. I'll finish this client story, but I'll come back to the other side of that. She was absolutely on the right path, and really with a lot of turmoil and chaos and horrible things, just horrible people that were involved. And what an amazing attribute to her that she has an amazing business now. So we worked through that. We had the sustainable model. We got all the other legal pieces in that needed to happen so that we could jump off that cliff. She jumped off that cliff, and oh my gosh, her business exploded for a number of reasons. She still had the emotions, right? We still worked through those. We still did the 911 calls, but she had her business model ready to go, a proven business model. We knew what that looked like. It takes away some of the fear factor. And when I say proven business model, this is how much, how many, how much is it going to cost? What can I afford? Who can I hire? All those pieces. And still, while it's scary, there's that solid foundation to come back to. So I have a lot of favorite clients, but she's just a beautiful individual, in and out, and her business has absolutely exploded to where she's had to hire more, and she's just doing fabulous. Now, sometimes in that process, whether it's someone that's jumping off in the way that she did, or they are starting something brand new, the story doesn't always go that way. And I think this is the value of having a good coach on your side to give you that lens. Sometimes this is not a workable deal. This is not ever going to make money the way it sits. And that is the value of going to that, I call it the foundation, or the numbers of the business, or that business model. Some have one, some don't. And really evaluating that. Is this sustainable? Can you make this work? Because some models are built, they look great on paper, but they'll never make you any money. And that's a miserable place to be when you've pulled the trigger and spent all kinds of money on the front end, and then finding that it's not going to work. So sometimes that story isn't the success story in the way that we perceive success being successful business. Sometimes the success is, and we averted a really big mistake that would have cost you a lot more money. Yeah.
That, my friend, right there. Like, I know that I call my coach, and sometimes I just get on the Zoom and I say, just say no to me about this idea, okay? And then I'll pitch the idea and she'll go, no. And I'll avoid spending 10 grand on something that won't work.
Yeah.
And so like that is such an important success story, because that 10 grand, and then maybe coupled with events going on in the world, that's sometimes enough to tank people.
That is so true. There was another client, this was right pre-pandemic, like right before, and this was a brand new first time client that came to me. And she is one that I talk about, well, the story, because she fits that story exactly. And this was not just 10,000s, this was hundreds of thousands. And this individual, beautiful person, and had an amazing idea. She hadn't started yet, had an amazing idea. I really loved her concept. The idea was really good. Brick and mortar, so big investment up front. Some little 3-letter organization told her things that weren't true. Now, this was an individual that did not have, wasn't sitting in $1 million house that had a lot of equity, or have a retirement fund, which, by the way, you don't want to use that anyway, but didn't have a lot of funding for those things. And that organization told her that she could get a $250,000 loan like that for this business. So not only was that part not true, again, which kind of speaks to why I do what I do, but the model was never going to make her money. The model was never going to be profitable for her in the way that, and she had come to me actually for a business plan to present for this. And I said that this isn't going to work. Now, that is a client that again, beautiful person. She cried and cried and cried on the spot. I felt horrible. However, we also talked about, here's another way that this model could work. And I'm so grateful. And I know that she is today, that she never pulled the trigger pre-pandemic. If that would have even worked out, the $250,000 loan was not going to happen. But let's just say it did. She would have lost everything. From that model after the pandemic. So, those are, while that's not maybe the favorite story, because it's not the outcome, it's not the fairy tale we all want, but that is one that I go, okay, I did good work there, because I know I saved her from a huge financial mistake. And she was also a recovering cancer patient. So I get chills when I talk about her because, again, beautiful person. And again, it's a story that usually folks don't want to hear because they want to hear the fairy tale one, but that's saving someone from huge, huge mistakes. And I wish I would have had that for me a long time ago.
Oh, holy moly. Yeah, had you been on my shoulder a few years ago. Yes. And here's the deal. And just note, everyone out there, the fairy tale story is the tip of the iceberg. The bumps and bruises, every fairy tale story has bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
Every single one. You just don't hear about them.
Yeah.
Just don't hear about them. When you're hearing fairy tale stories, stop and ask yourself, try to get some perspective. And for me, I've got a coach. Sheila's a coach. There are people to ask to put some objective eyeballs on something so that you don't make the big mistakes, so that you can, maybe make a small step instead of a $250,000 step today. There's a way to do everything. There's just a way to do everything. And remember, those fairy tale stories always have a journey behind them that they're not telling about. You and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
Like people will tell the fairy tale stories, right?
Yeah.
They'll say, I made $15 million on my last challenge. And I've never done challenges before. Well, what they're not telling you is this. How much did they spend to make 15 million?
Right.
16 million? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, well, so tell me what do you, because this is the epic engagement adventure. We learn about different types of ways to engage your folks. What is one way that you use that really gets some great engagement from your crowd?
And that is a great question. You and I've talked about this too. I am in a phase of my business where I have sort of been throwing a bit of spaghetti at the wall, if you will. But I would tell you that when I look at just my history over my career, and when I look at all the things that I've done, my best epic engagement is anywhere I can be like this. Where my audience gets to see me and hear me. I'm the one that's coaching and consulting. And so that is much more effective. So whether that's a live like on Facebook, whether it's an interview like this. Now, on my podcast, I don't have the video, but it's the audio. And I know that there is a good engagement there. So those are some of the better ways. Now again, I've thrown a lot of spaghetti at the wall. So there are far more things I know that I can be doing. And for all of you listening, RJ and I are going to get together in September so that she can herd the cats for me at a minimum. But part of that, I think it's why so many entrepreneurs struggle, and why this epic engagement adventure and what you do is so important, because I think that one, sometimes it changes over time based on technology and everything that we're doing. And two, I think it also depends on what you do and who you are. And, in my case, it's, I am kind of what I do. And so it makes sense when I looked back, because I had to think about that question when you're asking. I'm like, oh, I don't know that I do anything great or epic. But when I even look back on my entire career, way pre everything, it's this face to face as we're going to get in technology that creates the most engagement just over time for me. So yes, I have many more things I could be doing. And so if you are like me, audience, you need to reach out immediately to RJ.
Because they're get paid for that, everybody. I did not. I mean, maybe some chocolate sent to her house, but not now, because it would melt on her doorstep. So
right.
Yes. Well, very good. Thank you. Thank you for cluing us in on some really. These are not the business skills that are sexy. And you are that person in the trenches, in the middle of all that, who is willing to be that guide on the side to say, okay, but this is not going to give you what you want. You are willing to say the things that need to be said. And for that, you've earned my eternal respect and admiration. What if you have a few pearls of wisdom, or even one, to cast out to the audience? What would it be?
If something isn't working, don't wait too long to pull that Band-Aid off. That I learned that one kind of over and over. And since we're talking about epic engagement, I learned that one over and over again. Don't think it's going to get better. Particularly when it comes to I know this is a tough one too, when it comes to your marketing engagement, and I know it does take time for that. Don't wait too long, particularly when you're spending a lot of money on it.
Yeah.
Pull that plug a little earlier, and more so make sure that you are having the tools that are going to benefit you and your business from an engagement perspective.
Beautiful. You heard the lady. Don't wait too long to pull the plug. Every single business, especially coaching businesses, have sunk costs that we have to occasionally turn around and go the other way. It is not, you are not alone. If you've experienced this, you're not alone. And it's really one of those things that are the price of doing business out there. Occasionally we do sink money into things that are like, oh, I should never have done that. And I've got that experience too. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make a decision. You are the captain of this ship. You can make this decision. You can make this turnaround. So thank you.
And importantly, the opposite of that too. Don't do nothing. That's the balance. So, when I say don't wait too long, I'll give you, again, my own experience. I have a service right now that I am not paying attention to because I expect that the work will be done. And when I actually looked, months have gone by and nothing has been happening, but the money still comes out of my account. So don't not only wait too long, but also don't wait to engage the right resources. So kind of a balance between those. Sorry. I just had to have that add in.
That's beautiful. Beautiful add in. Well, I do want to thank you. It was our pleasure to have you on the podcast today. We'll have to have you in the future. And again, everybody, some stuff's been, flying across the bottom there, some links and different things. Get a hold of this lady. She's got a wealth of experience, hard-won experience to offer you. And and she can help. She can absolutely help with what you're going through. So that is all from us today. I just want to say hey to everybody. I'm going to be doing a double header podcast today, which means pretty soon, here in about another 28 minutes, I'm doing another one of these with another human being. I know.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. Her name is Siddiqui Ray, and she's putting on a challenge that is called Unmute Yourself. I heard the name of that challenge.
Wow.
It's about visibility. I heard the name of that challenge and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? So she's coming on a little bit later. But I want to just for now say thank you to my audience, my tribe. You are the people that keep my creative engines running. And thank you for being here. We'll see you next time. With that, Russ, will you bring us out?
Never fear, the Black Belt Bots are here, presenting another epic experience with your host, RJ Redden.